Thank you, thank you. You can refer to me as a guitar god now, because that was some virtuoso playing I just did, and it was completely 100% fake. And if you look in my recording software, you'll see that I've punched in all of these sections separately. Because I did a decent job of miming, you may not have realized that that was fake. And Ichika Nito relies on this, and I'm going to prove it. Back in 2019, Ichika started his career on YouTube, and this is the second video he ever posted. As you can see with its 11 million views, it successfully went viral. Let's check it out. At 10 seconds there, that didn't really make sense. We heard this big strum and this big slide. It was like, boing. But yet we barely see Ichika slide his hand up, and he barely strums at all. So we know for sure that this clip is pre-recorded and mimed along to. But this is one of his first videos, right? He surely wouldn't base his whole career off of miming. At the time of recording this video, this is Ichika's newest video on his channel. Wait, at 13 seconds here, when he plays this chord, we're hearing vibrato in the audio, but we don't actually see Ichika visually doing any vibrato. At 31 seconds here, he lets go of this low note, but in the audio, we still hear it sustaining. And no, this is not reverb, because if it was just a really loud reverb that we were hearing the tail of, each of the low notes would rub into each other and they would collide with each other and it would sound gross. At 35 seconds in this section, notice how his fretting hand lets go of the chord completely, but in the audio, we still hear the chord sustaining. At 46 seconds here, his tapping finger is actually landing in between two different strings. Look, he missed the string he was intending to hit, but of course in the audio it sounds flawless. And then again at 55 seconds here, he lets go of this low note, yet we still hear it sustaining in the audio. So wow, it looks like his miming has actually gotten worse over the years. But I did just look at 2 clips, so I guess it could be a coincidence that, just those 2 are miming, but the rest of his clips are actually real live audio. At 2 seconds, he lets go of the low note, but in the audio, we still hear the low note sustaining. At 47 seconds here, in the audio, this tapped note sustains longer than visually we actually see him hold it. At 20 seconds, we hear a bunch of vibrato, but visually we don't see him play vibrato at all. Subscribe! Here you can see he's pushed the low string above the fretboard, and that would make an awful sound. Let me give you an example. Here at 22 seconds, we hear a loud strum, but he barely touches the strings with his strumming hand. Now he lets go of all these different notes that he's holding with this chord, but we hear them sustained in the audio. Now you may be watching this and thinking, that looks sped up. And there's an inherent issue with claiming videos to be sped up. You see, most YouTube videos are at 24 frames per second, and that's the same frame rate that movies are filmed at. But check this out. The shutter speed for movies determines the amount of motion blur, and it's usually set here at 1/50th. Notice how my hand has like a little bit of motion blur. But let's check out what happens when I speed up that shutter speed. Notice how there's way less motion blur, and it almost looks like the video is sped up. So because of this, it makes it really difficult to accurately determine if a video has actually been slightly sped up or not. So I'm not even going to entertain this argument, because here's the thing. I've got him on so many more obvious mistakes. Here at 18 seconds, this finger tap he does is severely bent, but we don't hear the note bent in the audio. At 49 seconds, in the audio, we hear the low string get muted, but visually, we can still see the low string ringing out. Ichika never mutes it. Here at 20 seconds, we see him bend the entire chord, but in the audio, we don't hear any notes bend. Once again, he lets go of the low note, but we hear the low note continue to sustain. This is the hardest part of the bass solo, and it's hard because of the strumming hand. So what does Ichika do? He zooms in the camera a little bit so that you can't see his strumming hand. Now I know that some of you are going to roast me for how I'm saying Ichika, but you know what? I've done my research.
大家好, I'm Ichika Nito.
So don't even Marcin.
Listen, I know Marcin pronounced his name Marcin in that in the Diodario interview. His name's pronounced Marcin. It's a little embarrassing that he doesn't know that.
I said don't. Now this low string right here on the second strum, visually it gets muted. Watch him visually mute it. But in the audio, you hear it ring out. Ichika, you bent that note up, but we don't hear any bend in the audio. Turn on notifications. Okay, this is an interesting one. Pay attention to his A string here, the second one from the top. He strums it open twice in a row, so it should play the same note. Yet we hear that the first time he strums it open, it plays a higher note, and the second time it plays the lower note. Once again, here at 7 seconds, in the audio we hear this low note continue to sustain after he visually lets it go. Are you starting to see the patterns? Check out this weird fret buzzing that sounds like it's been stretched out. And it's most likely from crossfading two separate takes together. Here at 30 seconds, we see him play that high note, but not hold it out, and instead switch to the next chord. But in the audio, of course, we hear that high note being held out. Okay, for this one, he just didn't reach the chord in time. Like, we hear it, the chord strummed in the audio, and he hasn't gotten there yet. Alright, check out this high note that he plays. In the audio, we actually hear some vibrato, but when he's playing it, he doesn't vibrato at all. Okay, right here, we hear that he slides up and then he holds. Whatever note he slid up to, he held onto that note and let it sustain. But in the video, we just see him slide up and then let go. right at 7 seconds, his pinky is on fret 16, and he quickly moves it to fret 15, where it's supposed to be. But in the audio, we don't hear that mistake. Alright, so here's a weird one. Right here at 16 seconds, we hear the low E string crescendo from a soft strum to a hard strum. But we see Ichika do the opposite. He strums the first note hard and then accidentally mutes the string and barely touches it afterwards. Here's another interesting one. We'd see him actually tap fret 19, and then he plays fret 17, and then we hear fret 16, and then it goes back to 17, right? So that melody, check it out. Did you notice how we never saw him actually play fret 16? Alright, notice visually here at 6 seconds, he's bending that low E string, but this is a mistake, not intentional. We can tell because in the audio, we don't hear that bent note at all. Alright, so he's in a different tuning, and this is a 22 fret guitar. So he's maxing it out, going at the very highest fret on his guitar, and he's playing that same note over and over again. But one time, notice how he actually taps above the 22nd fret into the non-existent 23rd fret, and it would sound like this. There's no note to hit. But in the audio, of course, we just hear that same 22nd fret instead of a dead note. Oh, here at 24 seconds, in the audio, we hear this big strum with all the strings strummed at once. But visually, we don't see this at all. Let's talk about vibrato for a second. Now, guitarists that are good at vibrato will typically bend the note equal amounts up and down. And they will also typically do this within the same rhythm as the song to match, the tempo. And guitarists, like with this level of control, are ones like Brandon Ellis, or the GOAT, Wes Hauck. Guitarists that suck at vibrato will violently shake their strings in an attempt to vibrato. That reminds me of something. The good old Post Malone vibrato. Look at his pinky. It's pushing down fret 16, and then he slides it down to fret 15. But in the audio, we don't hear him hit fret 16 at all. We just hear the fret 15. Here at 26 seconds, Ichika bends and holds this note for a quick second before letting it go. We hear that note held out longer in the audio. Join my Discord server, link in the description. So after he does that little tapping run, notice how in the audio that very last tapped note has vibrato on it. But visually, we don't see him do any vibrato. So right here, he's got the low string muted, and when it's strummed, it can't sustain because it's muted. But in the audio, we hear it sustained. So right when he does this chord change, notice how his pinky goes too high. He goes above fret 12 and hits 13 on accident, and then quickly goes down to 12. And also his middle finger, look at how it like stutters on the fret. It kind of like pushes it up for a second, lets go, and then grabs it again. But in the audio, of course, we don't hear any of this. But this does explain why his live venue performances, we hear all of these out-of-tune notes. And this is not an uncommon problem with novice guitar players. Look at how much his hands are shaking right here. Now, it could be that he's nervous with a camera recording him, but at this point, he will have made hundreds of videos in the past 4 years. So I don't think it's being nervous. I think he's attempting to play something far outside of his skill level. Which begs the question, what is his real skill level? Ichika performed live at NAMM in 2022. Are you noticing how much simpler this playing is than his YouTube videos? Now, I know what you're thinking, that was pretty fast and impressive. But realistically, seriously, this is not that challenging. I'll show you. And to do that, I mean, you're just barring, and then you're literally just alternating between your right hand, tapping this one note really easily. Sorry, your left hand, because I'm left-handed. And then the other hand is just doing that. It's really, actually really simple. And wait a second, he's sponsored by Ibanez. Surely they wouldn't sponsor somebody who's faking their virtuosity. Ibanez is a huge corporation. You know what huge corporations care about? Money. You know what they don't care about? Morality. Next question. Notice how he plays fret 10, then open on that low string, then he plays fret 10 on the A string, and then in the audio we hear him go back to fret 10 on the low string. But if you notice his fretting hand here, he just completely misses that note. He's like below the string. And then there's another mistake here at 43 seconds. Notice how right where there's a big strum of all the strings, there's a camera cut. And even with the camera cut, Ichika doesn't do this big strum of all the strings. Is he hitting fret 9 or 10? Regardless, bad fretting like that would not sound good. Notice how when you're right on the edge of the fret, it sounds really gross. Get that weird, nasty buzzing, but the audio sounds flawless. And then over here at 13 seconds, the low string just randomly stops ringing out in the audio, but we don't see Ichika mute this string at all. He's doing that thing again where he's pushing the low note above the fretboard because he accidentally missed the note. This would of course sound bad and at least sound like the note was bent out of tune, but we don't hear any of that. And here at 26 seconds, he's let go of the low note too early once again. The finger tap slide up has the timbre of a guitar pick strum. It does not have the timbre of tapping. The velocity alone gives this away. Listen to how aggressively it's picked. Later in the same video, his fretting hand once again pushes the low E string above the fretboard. This would sound terrible just like I showed you earlier. Notice how his fretting hand completely lets go, but those low notes are still held out in the audio. Oh, interesting. Those are some out of tune notes. And it's worth noting that Ichika sometimes will leave in little mistakes. And this helps sell the fact that this is real. It helps deceive you. Did you notice how in the audio it was almost like that whole chord had vibrato on it, or something had vibrato on it? Yet we don't see Ichika do any vibrato. Did you hear that? The audio, of course, is chromatically going down. It's going fret 15, then 14, then 13. But Ichika accidentally didn't switch down to fret 13. He goes fret 15, fret 14, and then when he goes to reach for 13, he doesn't reach properly and he's still on fret 14. He once again lets go of this low note, but we hear that low note continue to ring out. Oh, and this one's kind of the opposite. The low string is ringing out, but we don't actually hear it in the audio. Real quick, think about the crazy amount of money that he's making off of these YouTube videos. He has 500 million views. That means that YouTube ad revenue alone has made him a millionaire. I might have to start pretending to be a virtuoso. Did you notice how that last high note had a ton of vibrato on it, yet he doesn't do the vibrato with his fingers? Okay, once again, on that high note, the audio has vibrato, but visually he's not doing vibrato. Oh, and this is interesting. His finger slides up to another fret that's an out-of-key one, and we don't hear this in the audio, of course. This slide happens much later in the audio. It's like early in the video. Once again, he let go of that low note too early compared to the audio. And once again, we hear vibrato, but visually we're missing it. Okay, if you noticed, he's not actually strumming the low notes, he's just hammering them on. Yet it sounds like he's just hitting it with super hard force. But if you watch him do it right there, he barely hammers it on. Okay, so notice how he's playing the same note multiple times in a row, and it's fret 19. Yet one of the times he accidentally taps on fret 20. Oh, and he's doing that disgusting thing again where you push the low string above the fretboard and it sounds gross, but of course we don't hear that in the audio. Okay, right here, he hammers on fret 20 twice, but we hear fret 20 and then fret 19. Once again, he lets go of this low note, but we still hear it ringing out. You know what? Just because you tortured me with your terrible tuning, I'm really gonna go in on you now. Okay, the low B string. This is a 7 string, so it's the lowest string, the heaviest one. We hear 3 held out strums. They're sustaining. But Ichika, if you watch him, he's muting the low string in between each strum. Notice how lightly Ichika is strumming here. He's not strumming hard at all, and yet when you hear that low note get strummed, it's like it's strummed at full velocity. And you could see after this how there is a note that's strummed hard, and it sounds about right, So it doesn't make sense that this earlier note, strummed super soft, would sound like that. Oh, this is a weird one. We hear 3 strums of the same note. It's just one note strummed 3 times, right? Yet we see Ichika strum the low B string once and then the low E string twice. This sweeping motion does not match the audio. Ichika strums this chord and then immediately lets go. But in the audio, we hear that chord being sustained into the next chord. Notice how Ichika uses a bunch of camera cuts over this section? So visually, he can stitch multiple takes together to make it seem like he's actually capable of playing this in one go. Ichika slides up to hit a harmonic, but he doesn't reach it in time. Look, he's late. And there you go. He's bending this note, but in the audio, we don't hear any bend. Oh, he totally missed the frets, and then he slides into the correct frets, but we don't hear this mistake in the audio. And then once again, he pushes the string above the fretboard, and we know that would sound gross. Alright, so notice how the melody that we heard was... Yet what he played was... So he actually didn't actually hit this last note. He was like a half step low, but we don't hear this in the audio. Okay, right here, Ichika strums fret 18 on accident and moves his hand to fret 17, the correct note. But of course we don't hear that. Right here, we hear the low note sustaining, even though he's moved his hand off of that fret. And again, we hear this low note sustaining out, but he has moved his finger down a fret and then back up a fret. But we don't hear any of this. And then in the audio, we hear vibrato, but Ichika visually does no vibrato. And then here we see Ichika do a very strong vibrato, but we don't hear a strong vibrato, maybe a slight one? He's wearing a jacket here, and his jacket is muting the low string, but in the audio we hear it ringing free. He's let go of this note, but we still hear it sustaining. And again, he's let go of this note as well, but we still hear it. Now maybe you're going, well, everyone knows that these are pre-recorded and mimed along to. I mean, later in this video specifically, extra pre-recorded guitars come in, and it's obvious. But do people really actually know that it's mimed? I swear, all of his songs sound like they're from another world. His skill level always leaves me in awe. The cleanliness of the notes, sublime. Ichika's showing us that he's not good, but he's a god at playing guitar. It's so clean. You don't even look real sometimes. So yes, some people don't realize that it's mimed, but I wouldn't say that it's presented as mimed. I mean, look at this video clip where Ichika shows a behind the scenes where he's recording a live take into his DAW. rather than miming over a pre-recorded take. But devil's advocate, it's not like these videos are labeled live performance. Visually, he shows vibrato, but we don't hear any vibrato. Notice how he frets the low string on fret 2, but he misses the first note, and we hear it strummed perfectly. But also, watch at 149 where he strums fret 3, but we hear the note of fret 2. Here at 2 minutes, we hear 4 fast strums of one note, but we see Ichika go from fret 14 up to fret 15, but we never hear that half-step interval. Okay, so we just saw Ichika do some tapping finger slides, but we don't hear that in the audio. Right here, this 222 catch 22, we physically see Ichika lift his hand off the frets, which would stop the notes completely, yet we hear the notes fluidly ringing out into each other and never hear the sudden stop. Alright, different video here. Okay, notice how we heard that chord get sustained, but he moved his entire hand up, which definitely contains some of the sustained notes. Okay, right here at 48 seconds, we see Ichika do a strong vibrato, but in the audio, there's little to no vibrato. Ah, right here, he missed a fret. Look at his ring finger missing that. Then he corrects it, but we don't hear that mistake in the audio. And then here at 2:30, we hear this chord get held out, but visually we don't see it held out. Okay, he's hit the wrong fret once again. He accidentally hits fret 10 and then quickly moves his hand to fret 9, the correct fret, but we don't hear this mistake. Okay, so you saw him do that little finger tap where he's like hammer on, like sliding between the two notes, and he lets go. And then there's one more high note that we hear in the audio right after that, but we never see him actually hit that higher note. And in fact, they put a camera cut right there to hide this mistake. So at 16 seconds here, he accidentally hits fret 6, which would be an out-of-key note, and then quickly corrects to fret 5, a diatonic note. In the audio, we don't hear that note from fret 6. Watch his strumming hand. He literally doesn't strum one of the notes here. And then right afterwards, of course, the low note. Once again, he visually lets go of it. He's doing this all over this section. And of course, we hear all of those notes sustaining perfectly into each other. Let's compare this to an actual live show of him playing this same song. So it's pretty clear what Ichika's intent is here. He wants you to believe that he's a virtuoso. I mean, that's where the views are, which is where the money's at. You see, Ichika figured out that people couldn't tell when guitar videos were mimed. So he decided to take full advantage of this and build his whole career around it. But I'm sure he was aware of the risks of doing this. And I don't just mean being called out for being fake. I mean the unrealistic expectation he's setting for guitar players everywhere, including himself. Why is his tone so bad live? Ichika has to be more prepared for his future live shows. All the live footage I've seen of Ichika are not up to par with his social media performance. He has set a standard so high that he himself can't back it up. And just like that, Ichika has engineered his own demise. And it's affected guitar players everywhere. Like when they release a raw clip and they get comments like sloppy and you need to practice more. Some people might just straight up quit guitar because they can't get their playing to sound like Ichika's fake videos. From what I can tell, Ichika does genuinely perform live with his real guitar sound, not like miming along to a backtrack. Note that there's some mistakes right here. And the good thing about this, we get to see his real skill level. Let's see what people have to say about it. I was surprised when I saw it on Instagram and in the clips. When I watch it now, I feel disappointed and deceived. It's very inadequate. Just an average guitarist, not the virtuoso you see in his super edited vids. This sounds like when I try to play his songs. Was it worth lying on YouTube if you went on stage and played like a rookie? This guy is a complete fraud. The only way I think Ichika could sort of repair this damage is to admit to everyone that his YouTube videos are in fact pre-recorded and mimed along to, and that if you want to see his real live playing, you got to come out to a show. But I honestly doubt that he'll go this route. I think he'll just keep going, same as usual. More mimed videos that are outside of his skill level and sort of embarrassing himself live. But I will say this, he is genuinely a great composer, and he can maintain that title even if he admits to his years of deception. Do it. But what if Ichika was honest about his skill level?
First question, how are you so good at playing guitar?
Honestly, I don't think I'm so good. I'm still learning.
Okay, now this was 5 years ago, but hopefully he's maintained that humility.
So why did you start playing guitar?
My father like metal music. Also, he have many guitars and bass, so I have a chance to play his guitar.
Okay, now that I resonate with. My best friend's dad was a metalhead, and he's the reason that I'm a metalhead. So, Ichika, you're winning some points.
When I was 5, I started play piano, so 音楽しかしてこなかった。
He also said he played some video games, but mostly was working on music. Oh man, that's really relatable. You know what? I think I like him. I think I'm starting to. I think I'm gonna be one of the biggest Ichika fans there is. In reality, I'm just extremely jealous. I don't even play guitar or have a job. I live in my mom's basement, and I'm just really lonely. Mom! I'm out of vape juice! Go get more now! Hey, I just want to say, thanks for making it to the end of this video. I know it was a really long one, but you survived the journey. Good job, bud. You want to learn how to be a fake virtuoso guitarist like Ichika? Well, I made a video right here showing you how. Or you want to watch me expose another guitar player that's faking their shit? Well, watch this video right here. I'll catch you next time, bud.